it's James here from goodguitarist.com, and today I'm going to show you how to play Heroes by David Bowie. Now, there's two reasons why I want to teach you this tune. First, in the verse and the intro, it just goes between two chord shapes, D and G. So even if you're just getting started, it's a great way to work out your chord switching and to realize that the best path to smooth switching is by just going back and forth between the same two chords over and over again. And then you just do that with a different two chords, another couple of two chords, and then all of a sudden you can start to put it all together, you know. But if you try to switch between 5 or 6 chords and learn a song that has that many chords as your first tune, it's probably not going to be the fastest way to get there. We want to be focused in our practice. The second reason is because the strumming it can be really simple, just downstrokes. And I'm going to show you how to take just downstrokes and add some accented beats, you know, make some of them a bit louder than the others, and that'll help bring it to life. It'll take a really simple pattern and turn it into a really, great thing. And if along the way you find that you're having trouble with any of the aspects of this song, whether it's the chord switching or the strumming, I have some resources. There's my free ebook, which goes over all the basics. There's a link to that down below. And I also have my complete beginners course, which it does the same stuff as the ebook, but, in 10 times more thorough. And before I forget, there's a chord chart for this song available on my Patreon if you'd like some help following along with it. Anyways, let's get started. We're gonna learn the verse, which uses only 2 shapes, D and G. So we have our D chord, and then we switch to G. And I want you to try playing G like this with these 2 fingers down. I know some people do it that way or that way, but I want to try it this way because when we switch from D to G, it's a really easy switch. We can just pivot off of our 3rd finger there. See how I just over and over again. So if you're not familiar with that, I recommend doing that. Just silently switching, getting used to it, building up some muscle memory. And then we can put them together just like they are in the verse. Downstrokes only, counting to 4 over and over again, just so we can get it all the right number of times, starting on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Back to D. 1, 2, 3, 4. G. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, so before we move on and learn the rest of the chords for the chorus and all that, let's take a look at the strumming pattern. It's gonna go like this. Now, that pattern seems like the most boring pattern ever, just downstrokes only. So in order to make it come to life, we have to accent a couple of beats. When you look at it here, we're just doing downstrokes on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but on 2 and 4, I want to make it a little bit louder. So first, I want to start out by just doing some little downstrokes, because that's the overall feel of the tune. And if you've ever played any rock songs, anything with power chords, you're probably pretty used to doing that. But if you're not, what we're doing here is we're just aiming for the thicker notes of that chord shape. So the D chord is these 4 strings. That's the thicker string. So I'm just aiming for that. You could even anchor your palm, just have your palm touching the guitar a little bit or have it touching there. Just give you some sort of guide, and just over and over again. 1 and 2 and 3. Let's slow it down a bit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And the way that I like to accent beats 2 and 4 is I start by saying those things louder. Just by going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so I'm saying 2 and 4 louder. And once you get used to that, it's not too hard to just kind of do a full strum on those beats. When you yell 2, it's like you're telling your hand to go do a full strum, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just try that a little bit. And then I want to try it a little bit faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still a bit slower than the actual tune, but it's starting to feel like the song when you put it up to this tempo, right? And before we put this together with our progression, let's just try it on the G chord by itself as well, just so you can get used to picking in this zone, because on the G chord, when you look at our, the G chord uses all 6 strings. Those are the thicker strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and remember, big strums on 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So take your time on the D chord, on the G chord, go between the two at your own pace, and when you're ready, we're going to put it together with our chord progression, which is just, we count to 4 2 times on D, and then we count to 4 2 times on G, back and forth over and over again. Really simple progression. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to stop counting to give you an opportunity to try it yourself. Now, alternatively, if you're finding this is just giving you a bit too much trouble, you can always use the most common strumming pattern in the world, down, down, up, down, up. I'll put a link to that. I have a whole lesson that goes over it, but you can just try it over the chords 2 times on each shape. And that works totally fine as well. Anyways, now that we have the verse out of the way, let's take a look at the chorus, which is going to require 3 new chord shapes. There's a C chord, and then there's going to be an A minor and an E minor. Now, the C chord is, out of all the basic chord shapes, probably the trickiest, so you might want to practice going from G to C, because it comes right after a G chord within the tune. And since they don't really share any common fingers, I recommend practicing it consistently. So place your fingers in the same way. Some people like to place their third, middle, index, like that. Some people go the other way, index first. Regardless, just do it the same way over and over again, and that'll build a nice, consistent chord switch. And once again, if you want help with this stuff, that's exactly what is in my ebook, my beginner's course, and all those resources down below. And for A minor to E minor, there's a little bit of a trick there too. We're on our A minor chord. We can leave our middle finger down, and that's a really easy switch into E minor. So I recommend trying that if you're not familiar. Take a minute to work on them. Otherwise, we're gonna put them all together into a progression, just like before, downstrokes only, counting out loud, just so we can get the chords in the right order. We're gonna start off with the C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. We could be here. So take your time with that, downstrokes only, counting out loud, just to get all the switches. Now, before we do a play along with the strumming pattern, I want to take a look at two sections of that. First, A minor, E minor, and then 2 times on D. So those 4 measures right there, just try it out at your own pace. And then the next 4 measures over and over again, going from C, G, and then 2 measures of D. So and once you've worked those out, we can put it all together, play through the chorus with the strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Cool, so those are all the parts to this tune, just the verse and the chorus. Most of the song is just D to G back and forth. When it comes to assembling the tune, let's just go through it really quick. For our intro and verse, it's just D to G, like we've been practicing, and then we have our chorus. After that, we have another verse, which is more D to G, and then we have another chorus, which is just like the first chorus. Then there's an instrumental bit, and that happens D to G. See, we do this progression pretty much as a default, right? D to G. When in doubt, D to G. After that instrumental part, we have another verse, then we have another chorus, another instrumental bit. So it's just the same thing over again. And then yet another verse, another chorus, another verse, another chorus, and then an instrumental part which fades out. So as you can see, it's always going to be D to G most of the time, and then the choruses are the only different part. A really easy song to put together once you've practiced those individual parts. You know, that's why I do it this way in the lesson, because it works with my real life students. We just work on the chorus a whole bunch, work on the verse a whole bunch. Then it's not too tricky to just put it all together, and that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to start off D to G. We're just going to play through a little mini version of the song just so you can get used to transitioning between all the parts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... All right, so that's how you play Heroes by David Bowie. Don't forget, if you need help following along, there's that chart on my Patreon that has, this whole lesson on a nice little worksheet. And there's also my complete beginners course, which will help you learn songs exactly like this. We practice switching, strumming, everything in depth in a really gradual step-by-step method, meant to start with the simplest things that anybody can do and then just build on those things, making them just a one notch tougher every time till you get to the point where you can play through a song like this, no problem. Either way, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.